Hello and welcome back to Asian Cinema Season 2, and this is the first of hopefully a few guest spots. We did this in the first Asian Cinema Season in 2017, every weekend having a new guest to come on and talk about anything in the realm of Asian cinema, and we're kicking off with a pretty damn great one. This is Chris from CM42TV, who very much surprised me with this video. He said he was going to do something, he didn't tell me what it was until he sent me the file, and I saw the file name and I went, holy shit. So this is a pretty big one for me. He's talking about one of my favorite films of all time, what I believe to be the greatest film I've ever seen so far, and I was so excited to kind of learn when he sent me this video that this was the film he decided to watch and cover for his guest spot. I think he did a great job. I mean, I've known him for a very long time. He's a YouTube veteran at this point, so he did a great job hosting the video and everything, but just to hear his thoughts on this particular film was awesome and just a delight, because if I can get anyone to watch this film, it's a good day at the office, you know. So whether he enjoyed it or not, just the fact that he actually sat down and watched this film, which is a pretty big time investment as well. So thanks a lot, man, for doing this. So enough blathering on, let's get over to Chris at CM42TV and see what he thought of this film, and I hope you all enjoy.
Alright, ladies and gents, welcome back to Asian Cinema Season 2, right here on RazorwireReviews. How are we all doing today? Yes, I understand this might be a little bit weird, maybe just as weird to you as it is to me, but we're right here on RazorwireReviews, and my name is not Luke, my name is Chris. I host a little channel by the name of CM42TV, and I also host the Good Bit podcast, which you can find on there. But I'm not here to talk about myself, I'm not here to promote my stuff, just have to get it in there. If you want to come over to CM42TV, we talk about movies and we do podcasts and we react to videos. It's a good time, baby. Right, this is Asian Cinema Season 2. I was such a big fan of the first season. I was very glad that Luke decided to bring it back for number 2. I know he's been planning it for ages, but the fact he's finally getting to it is awesome. I've been enjoying the videos so far, and hopefully you have as well. But now, ladies and gents, I am going to throw in a little bit of not a twopence of my thoughts on Asian cinema, but I'm going to throw in a little bit of a movie vlog right here, because I feel like Luke is going to enjoy this. It's maybe something we've talked about a lot. Me and Luke have been friends for a while, right? Me and Luke started being pals, I'm going to say about 2011 sort of time, so a good few years ago now. And we used to talk about wrestling a lot together, and any time that I would, you know, mention a film in one of my wrestling videos, or I would show one of my movies on DVD or Blu-ray or something, he would always be the one to point it out, and he would always be the one to message me or comment about it, and just kind of say, oh, I love that film as well. When we kind of discovered that we had a lot of similar tastes, you know, in terms of films and stuff, he was able to, he showed me a lot of actually great films that I've grown to love. We both liked Richard Linklater. You know, we were both fans of Boyhood and Dazed and Confused and that sort of thing. And he showed me the Before trilogy, which I've grown to love as well. And I actually have one Criterion box set that my sister got me, which was one of my favourite gifts ever. So, you know, that sort of thing, we kind of bonded over that. And, of course, bonding over YouTube and bonding over wrestling and that sort of thing. So we've always been pals. We've always, you know, kept in contact since about 2011 sort of time. And now the fact that, you know, I'm just going to put over Luke here. I don't know why I'm doing this, but there you go. He's going to hate that I'm doing this as well. I admire Luke in many ways in terms of his YouTube channel. You know, he always does whatever he wants and it always looks awesome. It's always, you know, really well done, well produced, well edited. He's also very well spoken, something that I struggle with sometimes, which you'll probably come to know. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about a certain movie in particular that me and Luke started talking about. Many years ago, when Luke first discovered this film, and of course you know what the film is, I've not reviewed it yet, but it's this film right here, Seven Samurai. Now, Luke first discovered this film a good few years ago, and I remember it quite vividly, because I remember him talking about it and raving about it in his videos, but I remember him speaking to me personally on, you know, messaging or whatever, and him telling me about this film. And I don't know why I never went to it. I don't know why. I think he actually sent me a file that I could access the film, and I don't know why I never jumped on that opportunity. You know, maybe it's because, you know, back then, it was a good few years ago, I was a bit younger, you know. Me and Luke started talking when I was like literally doing my exams in high school in like 4th year. I was just a child. I'm still a child, but you know, a taller child now. But anyway, he told me to watch Seven Samurai, and for some reason, I just didn't do it. Maybe it was because I was less experienced in sort of my film, studying and that sort of thing, and maybe I wasn't so open to watching different types of film. Maybe because it was like 3 hours long. Maybe I don't even know if it's 3 hours long. I know it's fucking long. 198 minutes. Holy God! Now, as I've gotten older and I've become more of a film fan, and I've started watching some of films, in that sort of genre. I watched a film called The Heroine. What's it called? What's the actual title? It's called The Heroine in English, but there's another title that, I can't remember, Dragon something. I watched it on the plane home. I was just in Gran Canaria de Puerto Rico, and on the way home, I watched it on the plane, and it was just a terrible experience because I had it on my phone and I was like all uncomfortable and stuff. I'm quite tall, so if you're not comfortable on a plane, it's going to be miserable. But I enjoyed it. It was all in Mandarin, it was all subtitled stuff, and I really did kind of enjoy it. It was just a bad experience. So that sort of thing. I just bought Dragon Fist on Blu-ray that I'm going to check out as well. I've always been a big Jackie Chan fan. Earlier this year I watched Enter the Dragon for the first time and just loved it. Immediately went and bought it on Blu-ray after I saw it on Film 4 or something. So it's been a good year for me. So I thought, now's the time. If not now, when? When am I going to get to this historic film? So for Asian Cinema Season 2, that I have rambled on for ridiculous amounts of time right now, but it's okay. We are going to watch simply one of the greatest films ever. I'll talk about it afterwards, and you will get to experience my first experience with Seven Samurai right here as part of Asian Cinema Season 2. Okay, here we go. It's time. It's that time. Let's get into the PS4 and let's get ready for some Seven Samurai. I see that's the benefits of having like a professional camera in that sense. You can do things like that. You can do a mad zoom. Right, here we go, ladies and gents. We're back. We have conquered the beast. I can now officially say in my life I have seen the film Seven Samurai from 1954, I believe, 1954, by Akira Kurosawa. Here we go, ladies and gents. Let's talk about it. Let's finally get my opinion. I say that finally for myself. I mean, I can finally have an opinion on simply one of the greatest films ever made, apparently. Is that sentiment true? Do I believe, after watching the film for the first time all these years later, do I believe this is simply one of the best films ever? Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair analysis. I really, really, really loved Seven Samurai. Of course I did. I mean, anybody who is, a film buff, a film fan, a film enthusiast like myself, is going to love this film regardless. And I guess I could just say, oh yeah, well, I love all these classic films, especially Seven Samurai. Nah, but it's not that at all, because the film is so well put together. The film is set in in the 1500s, I believe, 1570 something, 1500s in Japan, and yeah, because it said 400 years ago right at the start. And basically, it's a small group of farmers, this small village, a farming village, is raided by these bandits, and it happens all the time, and they can't afford it to happen again. They're sick of it. They're sick of losing their livelihood. So they go into town and they try to hire some samurai to keep them safe. So they hire 7 samurai to come to the village, and the first act of the film is all about them hiring the samurai, finding them all, getting them all ready, getting the whole village ready, preparing for attack, and then the whole second act is all about the attack waiting to be put to the test for the bandits to come back and try and steal all their food and steal all their supplies and stuff. And then for the last good 45 minutes of the film, because the film is long, it's over fucking 3 hours. The film is long, but the whole last bit of the film, the whole last half hour to 45 minutes is all about this absolute war. And I just felt like it was that. I felt like I was watching a war. I felt as if I was watching some mad documentary feature or some thing on the news that was showing footage of this small Japanese village being raided by these crowd of bandits. And it's just I'm not going to say the effects are great and all this good stuff, because it was back in 1954 this film came out and stuff. There's no real violence in the film. The film is rated a PG, so there's nothing you see they've got these bamboo sticks and stuff and they're stabbing folk. It's not like blood is spattering everywhere and people's arms are being ripped off. It's not a Tarantino movie or a Stanley Kubrick movie or anything like that. It's simply put together to get you lost in this idea that this is literally an attack. It's a war. It's a fight that's going on. These people are fighting for their lives. They're fighting for their livelihood and fighting for survival. Things like there's some really simple moments in it where like the bandits come and they kind of set fire to a few of the houses that are kind of on the outskirts of the village, and the people who live in those houses are just absolutely devastated. They were well prepared for the houses to be in danger, you know, like the kind of the samurai and the other people who are fighting from the village are saying, these are the houses we're going to have to sacrifice, these are the ones that we're going to have to set traps in because that's where the bandits are going to come from. But the people who lived in those houses, they are just like, their whole world just come crashing down, and there's just such a powerful scene, or powerful scenes, with the cameras just on their faces and the fucking horror and torture on their face that they've lost their house. Everything they've worked for, they've built this house from sticks and from their own hands. And just like that, it's up in flames and stuff. That was really powerful. And I just love that aspect of it. I love how all 7 members of the samurai, or all 7 samurai that are cast and that are hired by this small town, all have their own wee characteristics. They all have their own personality traits. They all have their own wee story. I guess if I had a negative to say about the film is that sometimes it was quite hard to kind of remember whose story was which, because not only was the film so long, not only was it because it was, you know, 3.5 hours long, it was in black and white and it was in subtitles and stuff, but it's also because there was 7 of them. You know what I mean? There was 7 separate stories going on that you're trying extra hard to follow because of these things, you know. So that was it was interesting though. It was interesting to kind of get opinions on them all. Some of them you like more than others. Some of them you find kind of annoying. Some of them are really light-hearted. Like there's a real jokester in the group who if you've not seen the film, something happens to him, and it's like the whole nature of the samurai it totally changes when he's gone, or when he is affected. You've seen the film, when he's gone. It just totally changes because they were relying on his personality, and I thought that was a really touching moment, because although he was kind of like a pain in the ass, he was kind of like a sort of the light-hearted and the comedy relief of the group, you know. There were some really funny moments in it as well, you know. There were some really nice comical moments from not only, you know, the samurai and not only the part of the war, but also from the villagers, you know, seeing the camaraderie between the villagers and the friends that are literally there, the families that are there, it was quite sweet and it was cute and it was nice to see. But then it's just the total switch of that when, you know, the war comes and the bandits come and this big battle has. I noted down a few things just in case I forgot, and the first thing I wrote on my post-it is you literally experience every emotion when you're watching this film. Every emotion humanly possible. You go from being so kind of like you're having this nice little laugh, but you know, because you're watching this nice relationship unfold. Then you go to complete terror because people's houses are being torn down. Then you're going back to being really tense because the war is happening, this big fight is happening, this big battle is happening right in front of you, and it's so real looking, it's so realistic, it's so relatable in ways. You go through a lot of emotions. You're happy, you're sad, you're laughing, you're distraught, you're upset, you're emotional, you're tense, and that's nothing. I normally don't like really long films. You know, a 3-hour film is kind of a red flag for me. I don't tend to watch many 3-hour films. If I'm investing so much time in that, I better enjoy it. I hope it's good. And the fact this was probably the longest film I've ever seen in my life, I've ever sat through. I think, you know, all the ones that come to mind are, you know, The Hateful Eight, or the Lord of the Rings films when I was younger, which I've not seen in years. I kind of need to get back to them. Or Boyhood's a long one, or Schindler's List, that's a long one. So they're always ones you're kind of looking at the clock and you're going, gee, this has been on for 2.5 hours and it's not over yet. I didn't feel like that one bit for this film. I sat through it, you know. Obviously you feel the time going by, but it's just that there was never a moment where I was looking at the clock and I wasn't looking at my watch and I wasn't trying to see how long we had left. I was enjoying it that much, and I was kind of invested that much. I was starting to care about the village, and I was starting to care about the characters and the people involved with the fight and the bandits and that sort of thing. Who was going to survive? Because although there are 7 samurai, you just knew, they're not all going to survive. And literally the last line of the film, you know, all the villagers are kind of celebrating, very reminiscent to the end of most Star Wars films. I wonder and I heard that's a big inspiration for George Lucas for A New Hope. A lot of the inspiration came from 7 Samurai, which was very interesting. You can kind of see wee things in the film, but there's nothing too obvious. Like when they're fighting with the bamboo sticks, you know, you can kind of substitute them with lightsabers, I guess. But like the big party at the end, because their village is saved, some of the samurai are just sitting looking at these sort of these graves that have been dug up for their brothers that have been lost, and it's like, although the villagers have won, we have won nothing, or whatever the line is, you know. It's very emotional. You go from this big, oh, we've won, and there's this big celebratory party going on, and then the last thing you see are just these samurai that are just distraught that have lost some brothers. Very emotional. Quickly before, I feel like I'm rambling on, but my favourite scene in the whole film, which is quite remarkable because the film is so epic and there is so many, you know, stories going through. My favourite story was the young man, the kind of young, new samurai, the guy who's kind of training to be a samurai. I can't remember his name. Is it Katsuhiro, maybe is his name? He so admires this kind of older samurai, and his name was Kaizo. Kaizo, he is like this sort of calm, cool, collected samurai. And he's just, he is everything that this young man really wants to aspire to be. And every time he does something cool, this young man is just kind of blown away by it. And I found it really relatable because everybody we have in our lives, we always have that one person who we really look up to and we really admire. And when we see them do something, we're just like, wow, you are amazing. And, you know, we've all got that. You know, that's the relatable factor of this film. All the personalities and all the different characters are relatable in some way. But there's this one moment where they're talking about how they're not going to be able to survive because the bandits have guns. So Kaizo says, I'll go and get the guns. And he just walks away. He walks towards where the bandits are, you know, sitting or planning or whatever they're doing. And then, like, he's not back till, like, the next morning. And, like, all the other sort of villagers and the fighters and the samurai, they're all up all night, edgy, waiting for the you know, the bandits to come. And they hear something in the distance, and it's just Kaizo walking back holding a gun, like, a few hours later. And it's just like, I killed 2 of them. I caught 2 of them. That's it. 2 of them are gone. He just goes and he sits down and he just goes to sleep like that. And he's just like, as if nothing happened. It's just happened instantly. He just goes, no problem whatsoever, takes the gun, kills 2 of them, and goes back to sleep. And the young man, Katsuhiro, I hope that's his name, goes over to him. And, like, it's the first time he really actually expresses the love he has for him and the admiration he has for him. And he just goes and he's just looking at him. And Kaizo wakes up and he's like, what are you looking at? And the young guy's just like, you are amazing. I've always wanted to tell you how amazing you are. And this look on his face is just like, it's so moving and it's sweet and it's touching, and it's like, that's the relatable factor, that's the human factor of this film. Because moments like that do happen. We all have, whether it's a brother or a cousin or a sister or a auntie or an uncle or a best friend or a boss or a co-worker, a classmate. We've always got that one person in our lives that we kind of think, you are brilliant. It could be yourself, you could think you're great, but every single person in this world admires someone, aspires to be like someone. And that was just beautiful right there, right on, you know, on your screen in this film. So there we go, there we have it. Seven Samurai was an absolute triumph. Of course it was. It's simply one of the greatest films ever made. I can understand why it's in Luke's top 10 of all time. I think he actually said this is the greatest film he's ever seen at one point, which is high praise because, look, I've seen a lot of films, as you know. So I just want to thank Luke here on Razorwire Reviews for having, again, such an awesome series and an awesome season here on the channel, but also allowing me to be here and allowing me to contribute in some way I can, a small part to Asian Cinema Season 2. I've had a blast. It's given me the opportunity to finally watch this film. The Seven Samurai, great stuff. Maybe one of the greatest films of all time. But again, it's the first time I've ever seen it, and you can imagine, I think that's the same with Luke as well. It kind of grew on him over time, you know, into one of the greatest films he's ever seen, or the greatest film he's ever seen. So, yeah, really enjoyed the film, really enjoyed making this video, as a part of Asian Cinema Season 2. So if you'd like to see more from me, from my movie collection, from my tastes in movies, my podcast, all that good stuff, we do it very regularly, every day in fact, on CM42TV, so you can come on over. We'll have a good time over there. We laugh a lot, we have fun. You can subscribe, we can chat, we can comment. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at CM42TV. So again, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for Luke for doing Asian Cinema Season 2 and letting me be involved in some way, shape or form right here, right now. My name is Chris. I host CM42TV. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, look after yourselves and each other. Thanks very much for watching. Peace.
It's alright by me. Apart from the fact he throws cans of Carlin into a tree. Yeah, he's really cool. Yeah, he's really cool. But he's not quite as cool as you.